Hey folks, I recently had a nice message from one of you saying that I have exposed the most amount of brands of anyone they've seen on YouTube. And there's a reason for that. First of all, there are other people doing this. You know who they are. Nick in the States, China Guitar Skeptic, the two German lads doing the mostly Harley Bentons, but other stuff as well. There's a few of us. I'm sorry if I don't name everyone. Sort of exploring lesser known brands, and there's some great channels out there. A lot of those channels tend to gravitate towards around a certain brand like Harley Benton or the Rondo brands, Monoprice brands, things like that. And then there are some of us that just go wherever in search of new and interesting, and that's kind of where I'm at. But there's another reason also why I have an ever-changing array of brands and models on my sale rack and also on my videos. And to explain that, I'm going to use this guitar. This is a guitar you've seen on a couple of videos now. Solid Engelmann top, rosewood back and sides, made by Leo James. That's Jaymz. Nice abalone trim and everything. Decent little guitar, and these guitars I got for nothing. I mean, it should be illegal to be able to get this guitar for what I paid for it. And I got a few of them. This is my last one. And I think I've got somebody coming to buy this here in a couple of hours. But if you go looking for this guitar now, you can't find it. It's gone. It's just disappeared off the radar. There are some Leo James guitars, mostly electrics, and those will disappear too. Now, I did contact the seller of these to get a bit more information, because it's rare you see a solid top, especially Engelmann spruce top guitar, that you can buy at this price range. I mean, it's just almost absurd. He did say that they were going to do another run of these with electronics in them and sell them for about $20 more, which is still a great deal. So I'm looking out for those. But what's happening in the guitar industry right now, and I can say this as somebody who worked in the guitar industry, but that was a while ago, and it's even more so now, is what we call short-run production. So a company will either request 100, 200, 1,000, 500, whatever they can afford, guitars made. They'll have them made, and then when they get them, they'll stamp them. They'll put their logo on them, and they'll sell them. This is the way the guitar industry works now. I mean, even big brands are doing this. So in other words, Fender probably gets their guitars made in multiple different factories, and they're not always made by Fender people. Often they spec out a particular model, they have it made, they get so many in, they stamp it. So there's, guitar companies like this one crop up all the time. You see a flurry of their guitars on the market, and then all of a sudden they disappear. And I've gone through a lot of those flurries. A few years ago I was buying Chateau guitars. This is before I was making videos. Really well made. Those have disappeared. And there are probably another 20, 30 brands that I've been through, and ukuleles too, that were flooded on the market for a while, or at least available, and then just sort of disappeared. This happens on eBay a lot. Brands disappear, or they change names, or they go out of business, or there was only so many made. Once they sell out, they don't bother making another one of that model, or they update it and change it. This happens a lot with ukuleles as well. I've seen, as I've said before, identical ukuleles made in the same place with the same woods, exactly the same looking thing with different brands on the headstocks. Because so many were made from one company and so many were made for another, they sell those out. They either rerun them or they move on to something else. So you have this fluidity in the market with brands and production runs that sometimes are very, very small numbers. I even have come across sellers, really distributors, that had as little as 100 made. And once they sell them out, they're gone, they move on to something else. So that's why you see this ever-changing and variant array of brands on my channel. There are some constants. I show Quartz and Crafters and Alvarez, because those things are well established and always will be made. But there are lots of sort of sub-branded or second-party branders that are basically just distributors getting small runs made, often just testing the market, just throwing 1,000 on 2 or 3 different eBay or Amazon sales sites, seeing how fast they sell, how well they do they have to dump stock at cost. If it does well enough, they may re-up the supply and put another 1,000 on the market, or it may dry up. So, there are many factors, but you're getting a lot of sort of unknown brands coming in. And yes, a lot of them are crap, and a lot of them I don't deal with. I mean, I could give you a list of brands I've tried and never made a video of because I didn't think they were up to standard. So the ones that I do show you, I think, are good value for money and decently made with reasonable parts that can be set up or upgraded into reasonable guitars. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight as to why every time you click on one of my videos, it's like, what's that brand? I've never heard of that. And I have that feeling too. I've recently done a slurry of Prodipe guitars, which a year ago I'd never heard of. And they make some good stuff, and it's really available right now. It might dry up, in a couple of months, and we may not see them again. I have no idea. The Clevons that I've been getting also are available at the moment, but those might dry up. Those are just 2 examples of things that I've been working with lately. And sometimes these production companies get bought out, they get rebranded, so you see the same guitars coming out under a different name. The guitar industry has changed, and you either change and adapt with it, or you get stuck with working under old paradigms, and I just choose to stay current. So there's a bit of my philosophy and why I have this array of brands. I think it's fun. I like putting out information on these, and people get back to me and say they find it helpful. Right now, you might see a certain guitar available on Amazon for $99, $129, and you're going, is that any good? And you go on YouTube to see if someone's reviewed it, and I've got one, a review, or I'm talking about it. And for a lot of these guitars, I'm the only one that's put out a video on some of these guitars, which is surprising to me, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something somewhat unique and different.